I produced people's singing demos at the time, and I went to Manhattan School of Music, and a teacher there named Neil Waltzer suggested me to the casting person who was going around to the different music schools in the East Coast to try to find people that were young and could play the piano and possibly act at the same time. And so Alan Parker, I got to hand it to him to be using a few actors here and there that were just sort of did what they did in the film, and they weren't and obviously weren't actors. Alan, he had the nerve to do that, and I think that's how the thing came off as real as it did. I had a couple of callbacks. I went in, and the first time I read for Alan Parker, and he had a big video machine on his shoulder, and he was shooting everybody as they were doing the audition. And he had me play the piano, then he had me read some of the sides, and then he had me do both. And then he put his arm around me, and he said, "Oh, really excellent work." And I just thought, in my naive brain, I just thought, I have the role. Obviously the role is me. This is a piece of cake. And I ended up getting called back 3 times. And I had a summer job actually playing piano at one of these resorts on the Italian side of the Catskill Mountains. And I remember being at this boarding house where I was staying, and there was this old German lady who owned the house, and I came in after lunch, and her name was Mrs. Mertz, and she said, "Were you expecting a part?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Well, you got it." I guess they had called and relayed the message to Mrs. Mertz, and that's how I found out. I was in my car and out of there as fast as I could go. This was the toughest scene for me, because I had to be angry at somebody who was playing my music in a street filled with people who were enjoying it, and it was completely against my grain. I mean, it's just I couldn't think of any less ridiculous response to it. But and I think I never could be mad enough. And I think it's possible that Alan just acquiesced to the amount of angry that I was, because I think he would have wanted me to be more upset. But how do you look at this scene and get mad? One of the things that happened with wardrobe was that originally Bruno was supposed to look more like a rock star, which I didn't understand, because Bruno was also a guy who didn't like to be on stage, and he didn't like to make a big spectacle of himself. So I didn't know why he'd want to dress, and make a spectacle with his clothes. So the wardrobe people put me in this really flashy stuff, this really colorful, fun-looking stuff, and I'd walk in and show it to Alan, and Alan would say, "No, it's wrong." And after about 3 or 4 different costume changes where Alan just said, "No, this is wrong," the wardrobe people started yelling at me and saying that I wasn't walking in with enough enthusiasm. Like I should bound in and with a smile on my face, wearing the clothes, and maybe that would help Alan, accept the outfits. What ended up happening was Alan said, "Okay, you guys got to come up with something different." And so the wardrobe people said, "All right, you know what? We're coming to your house, and we're going to pick through your clothes, and we're going to use your clothes." So they came to my apartment, and there was a big box of clothes. I mean, flannel shirts that my mother bought me when I was 12 or 13 from the Caldors, and they grabbed these shirts, and, these shirts, I wore these shirts in the film, and then after the film was over, it got shipped to L.A., and I wore them in the TV show 3 years after that. So I was still wearing shirts that I was wearing when I was 13, for years. It just, it just became a part of, like a permanent part of the wardrobe. This scene that we're about to see, the hot lunch jam, was just amazing to be a part of. The amazing thing about this scene is that when everyone starts dancing, there's this frenzy, and there's this frenetic energy, and it really was happening at the time it was being filmed. There were people that were pushing each other out of the way to get in the camera lens. This competition, this New York style, get in your face style of dancing and performing. And Alan and his director of photography managed to capture it in just a beautiful way. I have to say, I enjoyed doing the music scenes. It's a little bit of a trick to do these music scenes, because you're playing, or you're miming to something that you've played before. You know, and it's that old Hollywood thing. Everybody expects somebody to be miming to somebody else playing, but you're actually miming to your own playing. So you have to kind of remember exactly what you did when you recorded it, how you played it, what chord you comped to, when you did a big gliss coming down the piano, and or else you're going to look like you don't know what you're doing. I mean, if say you hit the chord in a different place, and or you don't catch what you did, everybody's going to say, oh, you didn't really play the piano. There I am doing something that I had just loads of fun doing off camera, just, you know, sitting at the piano with Irene and listening to her voice and accompanying her and just getting off on the energy, you know. Imagine my surprise when the big Fame poster was actually that shot of, you know, Bruno and Irene, Bruno and Coco playing. And I just started to see myself in New York subways, you know, in big posters. And, you know, I regret that I never defaced myself on a poster. I really feel like I should have done that. My high school was a Jesuit prep school in the Bronx, and none of this was happening there, unfortunately. It was the high school had a very, very poor band, and I was the president of that band, unfortunately, and I hated it so much that I used to get the other students to play wrong notes on purpose, so at least it would be funny. All this craziness was really happening. Everyone was really going nuts. I had to take 2 weeks of violin lessons to do this scene, and it was excruciating. It was the most difficult thing I'd ever done in music, was try to play that thing. I was very happy playing my keyboards and my trombone, but when I had to pick up one of these things, it sounded like that. That's exactly how it sounded. I wasn't trying to be bad. Mr. Sharovsky's frustration with me. Albert Haig was just always the greatest guy who had just the funniest things to say constantly. He used to say, I came from a tough neighborhood, Germany, you know, and just everything he would say would just sort of, you know, to me he was like the originator of, him and Henny Youngman were originators of the soundbite, you know, and I really miss him. Albert just passed away about a year ago.
Once in a while I stop and I smile and think about the times we shared. If something goes wrong, we'll be very lonely, because I know that you are there. Once in a while I think of your smile and all the memories we've known. They're never gonna end, I'm telling you, friend. Not one of us could ever be alone. The laughter in your eyes that said me, the look that lets me know you're pleased. How every day you reassure me what no one else believes. Once in a while, though it's not my style, I wonder what my life could be without you. I'd only get through if you taught me how to, and there's no way I could without you. Once in a while I sit and I smile and think of all the things before us, the good and the bad, will be more than just one